Okay, okay. So the second video, let's see. Maybe you can take a drop of water or a fly swatter or a tennis racket or whatever. Just try to imagine that. Or imagine whatever you want to imagine, as long as it has got this kind of shape. So let's see. Okay. Then we've got okay, so let's just say these are the choices that we get to make in life, right? So this is you right here. You decide whether you want to do A or B, or sometimes you've got multiple choices, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or whatever else. So let's just say this whole drop or this whole image is all the choices that you make, in life. What I would argue is whatever choice that you make, let's say for example this overarching circle or diagram or whatever else is, let's call that God's purpose, right? God's purpose, or God's determined plan, or let's call it sovereignty, right? But all these little things in here, these are your choices, right? So these are your choices. So if you look at all the choices in here, the reason why I chose this diagram is because eventually wherever these little forks end up here, so if we just follow this, right, it would still hit God's purpose, right? If you go with that one, for example, it will still hit God's purpose. If you follow that one, it will still hit God's purpose. That 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 will still hit God's purpose, because that's how God's sovereignty works. That, all the little choices that we're going to make, all the things that we know are up to us or whatever else, will still end up exactly where God wants them to end up. So maybe God's purposes, for example, whether you're going to go to heaven or hell, or whether you're going to do a certain kind of ministry, or whether you're going to be a certain kind of person, etc., etc. All of that kind of framework, so to speak, is up to God. But all the little things inside there, I think God has given us a level of freedom, a level of choice, a level of autonomy to an certain extent. But there is no choice that you're going to do in here that is going to end up elsewhere outside God's will. Same thing with the pipe. The water is flowing through the pipe. The water cannot decide, oh, you know what, today I'm going to flow outside the pipe, then tomorrow I'm going to be inside the pipe, because God simply doesn't work that way. So I hope that kind of gives you my thoughts anyway on how I think about this whole predestination thing. Yes, there are certain things that God is predestined. They're not going to change. Nothing can be done, to change those things. For example, the fact that Pharaoh's heart was hardened, that's just how it is going to be. He was going to harden his heart until the 10 plagues were done, until the child was killed, all the firstborns were killed. When we think about Jacob and Esau, there was nothing that was going to happen. Jacob was the one that was chosen. He was the one that was loved. When we think about Jesus, Jesus was going to get killed. He was going to be betrayed by one of his disciples. When we think about Jesus' birth, he was going to be born in Bethlehem. He was going to, maybe spend most of his time in Nazareth or whatever, and he was going to be killed next to two other, criminals or whatever. Certain things have already been put in place, but certain things are up to us. You know what I mean? So it's like a partnership that we have with God to say there's certain things that He has facilitated, and within that, we can make, our own little decisions. I hope that makes that clear. All right.